Good morning, everyone. My name is Katie Carter. I'm the emergency response meteorologist for the National Weather Service with your state weather briefing for today. Remember, this will be recorded and the link will be sent out on YouTube following. But this is for the impending winter weather that we're expecting this weekend. We have winter storm watches that are in effect for roughly Richmond and Point South, although you'll notice that the watches do extend into the northern neck, the middle peninsula, and the eastern shore as well. And we are looking at the potential for blizzard conditions, which I'll expand upon. And also, coastal flooding is expected to be a component in this storm system. So the forecast for today, just very cold, but we have plenty of sunshine. And then we start to see things really develop. And then that system really intensify off the coast. So even tomorrow, we have the potential of seeing just some light snow, maybe some light accumulations, but really not much as the system is really in its infancy. And then as we continue into the day on Saturday, that's when most of our snow will fall. And exactly where that low ends up tracking, the location of it is going to very highly dictate exactly how much snow is seen and exactly where. So we are closely keeping an eye on that. As I will say, this storm has been very difficult, as you know, a lot of them are, but we're just not getting great consistency with the computer models. They're having a hard time honing in on where that low is going to be. So we're really hoping that within the next 24 hours or so, hopefully less, we can pinpoint where it's going to go and then have a better sense of who's going to be hit the hardest. But especially intensify as it moves off the coast. It's going to be very, very windy. Things will wrap up on Sunday. And then behind that, Saturday into Sunday, we'll see extremely strong winds. And as things shift out of the north and northeast on the backside, that's when we see the threat for coastal flooding intensify, along with some tidal flooding as well. And then Monday, that low pressure finally pulls off the coast and we'll see things improving and finally getting above freezing. But as I mentioned, those winter storm watches, they are set to begin this evening and go through the day on Sunday. The southern half of the state, kind of if we're just drawing a line through just north of Richmond, that's about what we're looking at for this snowfall. Now, we do have moderate to high confidence that this event is going to be a heavy snowfall event, at least for the part of the state that sees it, but we have a lot less confidence in exactly where the path of this storm is going to track. So we know it's going to be a heavy snowmaker, but we have less confidence in exactly where it's going to be. The one really big difference between this storm and the last is that this one is not going to be bringing us freezing rain, sleet, or anything like that. It is far too cold for that. It is going to be a winter storm from the start to finish with just pure snowfall. So cold weather headlines. We know that we've had the cold leading up to the storm, the last storm following it, and that continues. So we have cold weather advisories right now, but we have additional ones set to be in effect later this evening through tomorrow. So that's mainly for the northern Blue Ridge and portions of northern Virginia, where that coldest air is going to be tonight. Those advisories, the wind chills could be as low as 9 below zero. And this is long, of course, long duration. We're going to be seeing those single digit and even double digit below zero wind chills Saturday and Sunday, and even stretching into Monday before we finally start to see some slightly milder air into the middle of next week. And that does get us into February. So this is the latest expected snowfall forecast that you can see here. And your eyes may be trained on that area of red. We have outline that area along the coast and the eastern shore for possible blizzard conditions. Now, a lot of folks kind of like to toss that word around, but there's actually a definition to a blizzard. It's not just heavy snowfall. So blizzards have three components. It has to be a winter storm lasting at least 3 hours, which we'll definitely have. Wind gusts have to be at least 35 miles an hour, which we will have. And visibility has to be down to 1/4 of a mile or less. So it's snow, winds, and visibility. And we think that the combination of all three will come together at some point, specifically along the coast and the eastern shore Saturday night into Sunday morning. So we are looking at that potential. Now, getting back to our snowfall map, you'll notice that things pretty quickly taper off. Snow amount-wise, the farther north you go, especially north of Richmond. So a trace up to maybe 2 inches for Northern Virginia, all the way down to north side. And then Richmond all the way back to, you could see the right around where Covington is on the map, and then up to the northern neck. That there is the 2 to 4 inch band. And then the darker of the blue from Southside Richmond down to the Tri-Cities. This goes through the Middle Peninsula all the way down Southside Chesterfield, Farmville, Lynchburg, back to Roanoke, and also in Southwest Virginia, they're in the 4 to 6 inch band. You'll see some light yellows. That is the 6 to 8 inch range. So Southwest Virginia, west of 58, has the potential of seeing that 6 to 8 inch range. And then South side, this includes Danville, South Central Virginia, and even Southeastern Virginia will see the highest snow totals. That's at least 6 to 8, and then the goldenrod color is 8 to 12. So because it's a coastal system, of course, Southeast Virginia is expected to see the most snowfall. And again, it will not be snow and sleet, snow and freezing rain. It will just be snowfall. If you look really closely too, you may see a few locations in that orange color. So a few reports could get upwards of more than a foot of snow. Getting to the blizzard conditions, we could be seeing some wind gusts of up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. So especially along the coast, it's going to just be incredibly windy. Wanted to toss in some probabilities here to give you a sense, because even though this is our forecast for snow, especially because things are so uncertain, you can see that we have a pretty high probability of a good chunk of the state seeing at least 4 inches of snow. So it's at 61% chance of at least 4 inches of snow for the city of Richmond, 50% chance for Lynchburg, 57% for Roanoke, and back to Southwest Virginia, kind of in that 50 to 60 to 75%. And then Southeast Virginia has the highest probability of seeing at least 4 inches of snow. When we bump things up to 8 inches on your left side of your screen and then 12 inches, you can see that we have another area that we've circled. And this is because the high uncertainty of exactly where that sharp cutoff is going to be with snow totals. This is the difficulty with coastal storms, because it's really the story of the haves and the have-nots when we have such a dynamic system as this. It's going to go from 0 to, you go farther south on 95 or just south anywhere in the state, and all of a sudden it's very little snow to several inches difference because of that sharp cutoff. So the inconsistency, or I should say the difficulty in the forecast, is going to be figuring out where that line is. But even 8 inch potential is anywhere from 40 up to 50% or greater for areas Virginia, North Carolina line. 12 inch potential or higher is pretty low, but not out of the realm of possibility. I would say that the view that you see on your screen there is probably the worst case scenario for this event, but some locations could definitely reach more than a foot of snow. Snow character is also very different than the last storm. It's cold, not only at the ground, but also in the higher levels of the atmosphere as well. So it is going to be, thankfully for us, the light fluffy stuff. It's not the heavy stuff that's going to be weighing everything down. It's not the type of situation where it compacts when it's driven over. The problem is, because of the winds, it's going to be blowing and drifting. We'll see visibilities very low, especially when we see the heavier snowfall falling on Saturday, and then the drifting of it. So this could cause issues where it's just flowing and kind of, getting pushed up against the side of a building, and all of a sudden it looks like we got 3 feet of snow. It's just because it's blowing around. So this is going to work in our favor, that snow character. Now, we don't have a traditional timing map that we like to show just because of the uncertainty, but this is the best timing that we have here. So as I mentioned, Friday, we could be seeing a few flurries starting, but not too much in the way of accumulation on Friday. The western part of the state could see a little bit, but it's really after midnight Friday into Saturday, and then all day Saturday through early Sunday that most of our snow accumulation is going to occur. The light blue is light snow, and then the darker blue, you get the heavier amounts of snow. And because of that extreme cold, this is our minimum temperatures. We're not anticipating power outages with this storm. We just don't have the heavy snow or any ice with it. So, if we see power outages, it could be due to just the strain on the grid due to people cranking their power because of heat. But it is going to be cold for those who are stuck outside in the elements or anyone who does happen to lose power. High wind potential, also pretty great, not only for the coast, but especially in Southwest Virginia as well. So these gusts could be anywhere from 35 up to 50 miles an hour. And then in the Port of Virginia, right in the mouth of the bay, we could be seeing 50, even up to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And things are going to be windiest on Sunday and then finally taper off on Monday as the storm progresses. I sent this out in the briefing, but I just wanted to quickly highlight that we will finally crack above freezing Monday and into next week. We're still well below normal where we should be this time of the year, but I say all that because we'll finally make some strides in melting the snow. So for those who still have that thick layer of ice on a lot of neighborhood roads and things, and with the new snow that we're expecting over the weekend, we will finally be getting some temperatures that, although not warm, will be enough to do a pretty decent amount of melting beginning Monday and through most of next week. The last thing that I'll touch on briefly is the threat for tidal flooding, because the winds on the backside of this storm are going to be kind of north or even northwest. And due to that, we have the potential of seeing some localized moderate to even major flooding. This time period would generally be Saturday into Sunday for this. And moderate flooding is 1 to 2 feet of inundation right along our coastal locations. And then major flooding would be considered 2 to 3 feet. This is going to be extremely localized. And again, the high tide cycles, particularly Sunday, are the ones to watch. And this is not going to be a widespread flooding event for our coast. However, it's another factor in this storm. And given how cold temperatures are, when we get all of that inundation and the flooding that we'll see right along the coast there, it is going to freeze. So we're going to be seeing icy conditions out, especially for those who do see flooding. I'm not going to go over this, but it was in the briefing. This just shows your tide table for all of our different tidal locations. And you can see our tides are all looking good until we finally see this is Sunday morning and into afternoon. That is where we start to see our flooding issues with our high tide in the morning and afternoon on Sunday. So that is also something to watch. But pending any questions, that is what we have right now. We are going to be sending out an updated email this afternoon when we get additional information, and hopefully we can kind of hone in a little bit better on the forecast. But that's what I have for you, and I'm going to stop the recording and take any questions now.